Yo.
Yes, sir.
What's up, guys? Yes. This DJ will kick the floor in three, two, 1.
On the troll. On the troll.
All right. We are here again. It is that time. I'm running solo today. One, just playing around. Well, kukoko. Inyangi pelile. Right, I'm just gonna try to take you through some of the things that were worrying for me. But remember, and again, and I emphasize this, I'm running solo today. I'm running solo. That would be a lot of things to do at once. But that is not a problem. I'm here to take you through this whole thing. Now, here's the question. There are people who are fighting crime, and there might be people who are claiming they are fighting crime on behalf of South Africa. You know, kunabantu who are just acting, who are doing exactly that, fighting crime, and through actions and doing everything. And there are people who are fighting crimes in many ways. Others might decide to come with finances, others might decide to come independent, others might. But the problem starts when everyone is speaking at cross purposes. And how does that happen? When one person decides to go left when the other people seemingly are here to fight that crime, and they are doing exactly what this person claims to be doing. So now we have Fanny Masemola, we have Lieutenant General KHUMALO as the head of the intelligence, and we have KHUMALO and the rest of other people. Obviously, these are the ones that are showing on social media and everywhere you go around, you'd find them. These people, and then we have the so-called independent Sullivan, who is also doing the exactly same thing, dealing with crime, and apparently he's been dealing with it far long. I don't want to get into nitty-gritties of who saw Sullivan, but there are a lot of things that if you dig on the internet, that you might find, and they're very interesting. Some of them, very, very interesting, and it leaves you maybe with questions, no answers. But I've also seen documents on the social media, such as Twitter. I've seen affidavits, I've seen cases, I've seen everything. It's there. It's up to you to go and look for it. And then we have this fella, Sullivan, who's really saying, I am fighting for the people of South Africa. I am fighting crime. And you would know him because he has been gloating about the Mlulis that were arrested because of his forensic analysis that he did in following those cases. He has been talking about even the person who took over from Luli. Also, that person is, there is a lot that he speaks about and he gloats about, and well and good. If they were doing crime, we are not there yet to look at that. But here is where we are today. There is something that was created, and perhaps because we don't care that much, we don't look at these things. So there has been a bit of an amendment that happened. This is a publication on the site of the NPA government that happened on the 27th of June 2024. The NPA amendment, and there's something called IDEC bill signing. Right? You would ask yourself, what is that? Basically, what was happening in summary is that people decided to say, okay, we are failing maybe to get to these cases and even bigger cases. Maybe we have a backlog for whatever reason. So we want sort of a group that is going to deal with difficult cases and cases that might be costly, big cases that would talk your fraud and everything else. Let me just take you through what this amendment is saying. This is the NPA amendment IDEC bill signing. The National Prosecuting Authority, NPA, welcomes the President's signing into law of the National Prosecuting Authority Amendment Act to establish the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, IDEC, as a permanent and adequately empowered entity. Now, get that. Basically, now we have IDEC as an empowered entity to take on the big guns, also to take on the big cases, basically. But just bear with me. I'm not Emily. I'm just going to be taking you slowly until we reach where we want to reach. Okay. This groundbreaking development will create permanent prosecution-led unit within the National Prosecuting Authority with criminal investigating powers to pursue the most complex forms of corruption, associated crimes, in line with its mandate. This accords with the international best practice to protect anti-corruption entities from political interference. And I want you to highlight that. It also gives the IDEC the critical powers and resources it needs to succeed with the tried and tested prosecution-led model that has been utilized so effectively in South Africa in the past. I don't know if we would say that, considering that we are dealing currently with some of these cases, and one of them being Senzo Meyiwa's case. Before we even go to defense, trying to present their cases, we have seen how much this prosecutorial-led investigation has done. And the question will be on your side, and the answer will be on your side also. Has it done the job? I will give you the question. Has it done the job? If you ask yourself, looking at Senzo Meyiwa's case, has it done the job that everyone in this bill amendment is gloating about? That's a question that you should have in your head, and the answer remains with you. I'm not going to give you answer, right? So this IDEC replaces the Investigating Directorate ID that was established in 2019. The mandate of the IDEC is to investigate where appropriate institution criminal proceedings and carry out necessary functions incidentally to investigation and instituting criminal proceedings relating to serious, high-profile or complex corruption, commercial or financial crime cases arising from recommendation of the Commission of Inquiry, referred to as Investigating Director, by the National Director, referred to the Investigating Director in terms of Section 27 of the NPA, and relating to such existing offences or categories of offences as determined by the President by proclaimed number 20 of 2019. Right? Despite its pivotal role in leading South African criminal justice response to high-level corruption, the ID was statutory, not a permanent entity within the NPA. The ID was established by proclamation, and executive had the power to amend or revoke such proclamation. The other key constraints factors for previous ID was that it did not possess the required criminal investigation powers and had to rely on a patchwork of second staff from various partner entities who could be recalled anytime, and whose line of function managers remained the partner entity outside the ID. I guess now we are talking about these independent people. I guess maybe that's my assumption, that then they were assisting where they could assist. Very funny, because we have budgets and everything that should be supporting this, and we have never had a situation where we are told that, hey, we are running short of funds and all that. What we have been told is that, well, people are understaffed and whatnot, but basically this has been created then to be a permanent entity that stays there, that helps NPA wherever it helps. I don't have a problem with that, right? I don't have a problem with that. The problem might later be seen for me when it starts showing the sign of maybe it might at some point target people. That's the problem. And I'll show you, in my opinion, how I feel maybe somewhere, somehow, these things happened in a wrong way, if you ask me. I don't have a problem with this document I'm reading. I don't have a problem with how they decided to think and say, okay, we are going to make sure that we deal with high-profile cases on the different group, while the NPA is dealing with all these other cases that we know, one of them being Senzo's case, and there are many other cases that they are dealing with, the pastor that was released there. In my opinion, frequently I've seen NPA doing so bad. That's all I can say. They've, maybe if they can look to cut on those bad cases where they lose cases and then they have to pay, and if they can cut, we can have the funds. I'm not going to finish this document. I don't have a problem with this document. The idea was good, but here is where I start having a problem. Then after that, it happened that there was this group of people who decided to say, okay, we would like to donate. Remember, this idea include the prosecutors, investigators, and everything else, by the way, which, if you ask me, it could, if it wants to, it can, most probably, which is, I think, in my opinion, it does work with people like Sullivan. Maybe, he does write to them when he wants to write to them and feels that there is some crime that is happening somewhere. But here's the problem. Listen to this.
Let's tell you about this now. The National Prosecuting Authority has been given the green light to accept donor funding for prosecution. The private donation will be directed towards prosecuting high-profile and complex cases. We're now joined by Paul O'Sullivan, forensic consultant, to get his views on this story. Thank you very much, Paul, for availing yourself this afternoon. So, reaction to this has been varied. Your position?
Well, unfortunately, the National Prosecuting Authority are under-resourced. And the reason they're under-resourced is because they've been eviscerated for the better part of 10 or 12 years by the Zuma regime, and they were captured. And to a degree, there's certain elements of capture still there. So the amount of serious crime, and when I talk about serious crime, I'm not just talking about robberies and murders and stuff like that, but especially the white-collar crime, because during the period where Zuma was president, the country was robbed blind. The institutions owned by the state were brought to their knees, all of them. There's not one of them that is now functioning properly and making a profit. So to prosecute all those people is going to require vast resources. Now, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with private funding. And by the way, the first private funding started way back when. In fact, it was a case I investigated in 1997 when I was in the police. And it involved a chap who was a bank manager at then NBS Bank in Kempton Park. And he was arrested for stealing, I think the amount was 375 million. And the state decided to prosecute, and he was, the prosecution was paid for by the Arbitration Foundation of South Africa. And they obviously did it at arm's length. What we can't have, though, is we can't have individuals deciding that somebody they want to be prosecuted and they must fund that. There must be a few degrees of separation between the funding and the actual prosecution itself. Otherwise, you end up with, bounty hunter type activity in the prosecution service. So, in my opinion, the funding of prosecutions by private individuals or by corporations should be done by somebody like the Arbitration Foundation or somebody like that, keeping a fund, keeping a pot there, and then the lawyers can be chosen from private practice. There are plenty of very dedicated and very skilled lawyers in private practice who are well able to prosecute some of these high-profile crimes. Obviously, it's important to make sure that the lawyers that do that prosecution aren't running with the foxes and hunting with the hounds, because some of the good lawyers out there are also defending criminals, and you can't have one person defending a criminal one day of the week and prosecuting a criminal the next day of the week. That would be a complete conflict of interest. So, providing they get all the checks and balances in place, I'm all in favor of it, and the sooner they roll it out, the better.
Let's talk about the bigger law enforcement ecosystem, because you've also got the courts, which are also complaining about a backlog in the system, right? So you've got these private funders, potential private funders, who may potentially plug the gap. But is that it?
I don't quite understand what you mean. It's not just a case of plugging the gap. It's a case of providing funding that will then fund senior counsel or junior counsel, depending on the type of case, who are in private practice to come in, and they will report to the National Prosecuting Authority. They can't be mavericks and do their own thing. And if that's allowed to happen, there's nothing wrong with that.
Paul O'Sullivan is a forensic consultant. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Yes, there are a lot of questions about this clip. There are a lot of questions that, in a sense, are brushed aside. They are not being answered. When Mogoeng said, if you receive funding from an external person who at the time would come and say, I do not have any interest, I just want to assist. In a long run, what do you expect? Is that not hinging on capturing? Is that not the closest thing you can say, this is the closest thing, or this is probably capturing? Is that not what this actually funding that comes from outside? I mean, you don't just take your money and say, here is my money, go and prosecute people. I don't care. I don't want to have an interest of who you prosecute and how and why those people are being prosecuted. No, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. It might not look like a direct investment, but in a long run, it is investment. Because anything that could stand on your way while we are finding this big group of the nation, of the state, basically the state, we are funding the state in this case. So no one, in a sense, can stand on your way, because you don't even need lawyers. You don't need lawyers. You just need to get in touch with this IDEC, and then they should be able to solve your problems. And in a right way, that might even look more legit than you fighting that person direct. That's me. That's my thinking. But I'm not saying that is happening. But it is a problematic situation that is being created here, if you ask me. I don't know how it was actually accepted for this thing to happen. How can you fund the state in that manner and say, in fact, not even, you are funding the state that is supposed to hold the position of protecting the society. One person or two or three or four people decide to fund the state. We are not all rich. The only thing we can do, the bare minimum we can do, is to pay tax if we are working. And if we are not working, oh well, even bad for you. But all I'm trying to say is that how can you fund silently? And you are finding the state to actually go fight the cases. Maybe let's make an example. There was this so-called state capture. People there were saying, some of them were being targeted. How are you going to separate that situation where this person who's got this much funding is going to come and make sure that they get their way? How are you going to stop that from happening? I mean, from his body language, you can, in my opinion, tell that he doesn't even believe what he's saying. But then let us look at some of what I'm saying, the result of it. Here is the EWN, the Eyewitness News, on the 3rd of July. On the 3rd of July. Here's how the heading is reading. Forensic investigator Sullivan publicly campaigning for the top cop Masemola's removal. And you will get to know why this is the case. He's claiming the top cop is failing to adequately deal with those implicated in the corruption within the South African Police Services, SAPS. Johannesburg forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan says he's publicly campaigning for the removal of the National Commissioner, Fanny Masemola. He's claiming the top cop is failing to adequately deal with those implicated in the corruption within the SAPS. On Tuesday, O'Sullivan legal team sent an urgent letter of demand to Masemola, calling for suspension of the crime intelligence head, Dumisani KHUMALO, and his 6 co-accused. Right? KHUMALO and his 6 other senior rankings crime intelligence officers were arrested last week and charged with 4 counts of corruption and fraud. The charges related to the appointment of the 30-year-old Dineo Mukwele to a senior role within crime intelligence under the rank of brigadier, having no formal and relevant SAPS qualifications. On Tuesday, O'Sullivan demanded through the letter sent by his attorney that Masemola suspend 7 senior crime intelligence officials arrested last week. O'Sullivan threatened legal action against Masemola should he fail to do so. Not only legal actions, and I will show you, it's not only legal actions. There's even more. In response to O'Sullivan's letter of demand, Masemola claimed that the matter was being given attention, but it's an employer-employee issue. O'Sullivan disagrees. It's absolutely not a private matter between the employer and employee. He argued that the suspension of the 7 crime intelligence officials, including KHUMALO, was in the public interest. Crime intelligence has become dysfunctional, and it's dysfunctionally because the management of the crime intelligence are engaged in corruption activity instead of detecting crime. O'Sullivan said he would not rest until Masemola heeded calls to suspend KHUMALO and his co-accused. Now, this is the demands that are coming from someone who's outside. And in a sense, I agree with Masemola. Yes, these are public entities, but they also subscribe to labor law. So you can't just do things as you wish. You can't just willy-nilly go and say, I'm doing this now, just because there's pressure of the certain foundation. And upon the funding submission, he talked about the such as what is this things that says they are always fighting for the community, for the society. He talked about them being the funders. And the problem with that is that we don't know who's funding them. We don't know. Some of these things, we don't even know their faces, but they claim to be fighting for us. And he's got one of, also he's got his own that is now dealing, as you see on the letter. It's not Sullivan per se. It's his, I think, society or something like that. I'm not sure, but we'll read the letter with you. It is scary how these things are happening. It is scary. It is very scary how these things are happening. We must subscribe to that. We must subscribe to that. That's the problem, that the IDEC and allowing the fundings coming from outside might have a potential of doing people demanding things to happen their own way. I'm not saying anyone funded, or I don't know who funded as yet, but wow, just reading this, it's like people are entitled now. If it doesn't happen my way, things are going to fly up. Opolalam. No, man. No, there is something wrong with this. Let us look at this letter that he wrote to Fanny Masemola. It's an urgent letter of demand that was written on the 1st of July. Dear General Masemola. So here it says, our clients, Forensic for Justice, MPC. You know, that's exactly the organization I'm talking. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Exactly the organization I'm talking about. So this is paragraph 1. We act on behalf of the Forensic for Justice, MPC, charitable organization. Highlight that part. So these are the people, or these such organizations could be, if that video is anything to go by, the right people to actually fund such things as IDEC. Is that what that video was saying? Should it be like that? You know, that's a question. I don't have answers. This charitable organization, which has its aim to expose and take action against the corrupt officials, barriers in the criminal system, and other state-owned entities. Paragraph 2. We are instructed to address you as follows. 2.1. On or about 26 June 2025, the following senior crime intelligence officials were arrested by the Investigating Directorate Against the Corruption, IDEC. Lieutenant General KHUMALO, Major General Lishaban, Major General Madondo, Major General Lekalakala, Major General Gabela, Brigadier Ngube, Brigadier Mukwele. Hereafter collectively referred to as accused person. 2.2. Our client has been investigating some or all above named officials since last year and had cause to provide a detailed file to the Office of the Inspector General of Intelligence, OIGI, in respect of corruption, nepotism, abuse of the office. Our client is therefore pleased with the action taken by IDEC. Right? Here comes the IDEC. And notes that the accused person have all been charged with the very serious offense, with 6 of the 7 being released on bail. That's the first part of the letter. I don't know what you think. That's just the first part of the letter. After realizing that he is victorious on the other side, after his investigation, he decides now to write to Fanny Masemola to say, this should happen. Failure to do that, then it gave birth to that campaign for removal of Masemola. When Masemola is citing, and I'll read his letter. I'm not in support of everything. I just want to put everything into perspective here, as clear as it sounds. Right? let me get the other part of the letter just to finish up. 2.3, on the 26th June, this is paragraph 2.3. On the 26th June 2025 at 1941, Mr. Paul O. Sullivan, the founder of the client, that's the NPC, sent a message which stated the following in respect of the accused person. I understand you have privately stated you will not suspend him or any of the others going down with him. That's number one. The case has not been presented. We are still dealing with bails, but there's already assumptions everyone is going down. So Masemola must act on the basis of what is going to happen, on the basis that everyone is going to go down. And I want you to understand that part. You are given until Monday. Now, this is the ultimatum. You are given until Monday to suspend them all, or I will launch an urgent application in the High Court. Here comes the High Court. And we will also call for your suspension, Louis Vuitton bag for the wife or not. Inverted commas. Close quote, done. This is what was sent initially upon this letter being sent later on to follow up by the lawyers. Now, I don't know. I'm sitting at the office. I'm receiving such things. How am I supposed to act where it sounds to me something is being dangled on my head to say, I'm going to deal with you? This is really, and I've seen something like this before in some of these documents that I saw on Twitter. I've seen something like this. I think it's within the Kreger case. It deals more like this. You know, there are a lot of things on that social media that you can, but is this supposed to be, am I supposed to adhere to such things if I was sitting in that position? So it's fine. It's a question that I will leave to you. 2.4, we recommend that you fail to respond to our client. The South African Police Service have remained publicly silent about their intentions with regards to the accused person. 2.5, our client is of the opinion that the crime intelligence has ceased to be effective tool to fight against serious crime in South Africa because, in his view, the facts supports that for at least 20 years it has been led by criminals, meaning that is inclusive of Masemola. Is that inclusive of basically everyone? More importantly, if the accused person are not suspended from their duties, they have the opportunity not only to attempt to cover their tracks, but also to continue committing further crimes. 2.6, the fact that the chief finance officer of the crime intelligence, who controls a budget of 600 million, is languishing in prison awaiting trial, begs the question, do his colleagues bring his laptop to him in prison so that he may effect electronic transfers? You know, that's a question raised by this letter. Now, paragraph 3. In circumstances, we have been instructed to request that you urgently advise us of your intentions with regards to suspension of the accused person. Our client is of the view that it is much public interest in an acceptable high rate of the crime in South Africa, especially when it is being perpetrated by the 5 generals and 2 brigadiers, such as the accused person. Again, this is in a position of saying already these people are guilty. They're not going to clear them. They are not there to clear their names. They are guilty as charged. Maybe having too much trust on IDEC, this has been proven in this letter that there has been a communication between IDEC and this NPC. Okay, right? The public have the right to know what you, as the accounting office of the South African Police Service, are doing about the accused person. The public have the right to hear that they have been suspended or are being suspended. Finally, our instructions are to advise you, as we hereby do, that unless we receive your response by the close of the business on the 2nd of July 2025, to the effect that the accused are all being or are all to be suspended pending the disciplinary action, our client shall assume that you will not suspend the accused person. In such an event, our instructions are to prepare and launch an urgent application in the High Court to obtain an order that the accused person be suspended. In the interest of the public, if the decision has already been made or is in the process of being made, please advise us accordingly in order to avoid unnecessary and expensive litigations. A copy of this letter will be used in an urgent application with the prayer for punitive costs to be awarded in favor of our client. We look forward to receiving your most urgent response. Paragraph 9. All our clients' rights remain entirely reserved. Yours faithfully, Daryl Fuman, and the associate. That's the person who's representing this NPCA. This NPC, it's NPC, which is the organization of Sullivan as the founder. So now, here's how eventually the office of the commission, I will assume, responded. Okay? Without prejudice of any rights, dear Mr. Daryl Femen, replying to the arrest of 5 generals and 2 brigadiers. Your letter referred to D. Femen TD/4324, dated 1st July 2025, has a bearing. Receipt of your letter is hereby acknowledged, and the content therefore was noted. The National Commissioner is aware of his constitutional duties in terms of the South African Police Act 68 in 1995, as well as the South African Disciplinary Regulation of 2016. It must be emphasized that the matter is receiving the necessary attention it deserves. It's a matter that involves the relationship between the employer and the employee in line with the Labor Regulations Act 66 of 1995, as well as all other relevant prescripts. Right? This is from the General, Fanny Masemola. Basically, that's what then created this decampaigning and this Louis Vuitton bag. Here's my question. Let us, for argument's say that they were a receipt of such. Even MKHWANAZI has been taunted as a person who also received the Louis Vuitton bag. Even if they were such, here's the question for me. Here is an organization that is funded by Sullivan, that is fighting crime. It had that information, right? Long time ago, before all this ruckus that is currently happening. Why did it not act on it if it feels that those packages that were received, they actually were received illegally, and there were things that were done illegally or irregularities that were done? I mean, that's what this organization claims to be doing, but it seems as if it's set on this so that at some point when it requires something to be done, it will use it as something dangling on these people's head. In all honesty, should we then take that as this organization is really fighting for people? That's a question that I'm asking. Are we fighting for people if we are going to look at a certain crime and be like, okay, one day, if we want you to do something, we will tell you to do it. If you don't, we will remind you that we know some things that you kept for years. I mean, if really these things are holding, I think Fanny Masemola would be removed by now. I think General MKHWANAZI would be removed by now. Why keep them to this point? And then now go to the media. Next thing you are going like this mad person. That's my question. Why keep them? You keep them, and then you come now, you're saying things. Now we should believe you and we should go with you. How are we supposed to go with you if you are able to do that? Because, I mean, we've seen that with politicians. Politicians are capable also of also doing that, some of them. You know, they keep something. Like, okay, if you go do that thing, it's fine. I'll just turn a blind eye. But one day I will come count to cash on you. That's the feeling that I'm getting. It's like, now it's time to cash. And if we're not cashing, then I'm going to release that you also receive some gift of Louis Vuitton. Is that how these things are supposed to be done? Already, just after reading all this and the fundings and all these things, I already had a problem with that. Up to this point, I think I haven't been proven otherwise. Except that it seems as if this IDEC, as MKHWANAZI said, it is going to target those people who are refusing at some point, maybe, to do certain things. I'm not saying that is what is happening right now. We don't know who's wrong, who's right. But so far, when MKHWANAZI went to the media, he had a bit of receipts. Other people are just throwing things, throwing names such as the criminal, but we haven't seen any receipts. We haven't seen any receipts. And this is where we have a problem. This is where we have a problem. We have these people who are claiming to fight for us, but Icon. It seems as if people are fighting for whatever they are fighting for, but I don't feel, I speak for myself. I don't feel that people are really fighting for us. That's me. I don't feel that if there are whistleblowers outside there who are still alive, except for those ones who actually have lost their lives, which it seems as if it's one thing that we can actually test you really, whether you are fighting for people or not, with, which is unfortunately the demise. Because if you are gone, that means then yes, you probably were doing the right thing. And certain people did not like it. We must mention these things, guys. We must mention these things. Let us hear this other part also, where Sullivan is also accusing MKHWANAZI in this part. This one, the first one that I read, he was literally accusing Masemola of that bag again, Louis Vuitton bag.
Both MKHWANAZI and Masemola joined a police supplier on an overseas trip, and the pair of them came back with, what do you call it, Louis Vuitton. It's a very expensive ladies' handbag. And the pair of them came back with a gift from the police supplier, being a Louis Vuitton handbag. And from what I can gather, neither of them disclosed at customs the fact that they had in their possession a gift worth somewhere between 70 and 100,000 Rand each. And then what did they do? They probably gave these bags to their wives.
Yes. As you can hear, here we go. Again, the bags are thrown there, the receipts. That's all we're looking for now. The receipt. Show us the receipt. Now, here is where I have a problem with this whole thing. So this IDEC was created, and then now I'm just going to take a bit of a script from IOL. No arrest warrant for Police Commissioner Masemola, says the police minister. Right? Police Minister Senzo Mchunu has called for speculation to cease after the reports of the National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemola imminent arrest. Reports claims Masemola faces possible arrest for authorizing the irregular purchasing of the buildings. It is alleged that the irregular procurements for crime intelligence building amount to more than 120 million. In a statement released on Sunday, Police Minister spokesperson Kamukhelo Mahotsi stated they had not been aware of any impending arrest. Mohosi said the police ministry has also noted that the response from the investigating directorate against corruption, IDEC, again on the speculation. The IDEC and the National Prosecuting Authority stated they have no intention of arresting or obtaining any arrest warrant for National Police Commissioner. We plead with the media to avoid any speculation on this, as speculation of this nature has an adverse impact on the named person and also has the effect of the destabilizing the work of the South African Police Service, SAPS. Mahosi said, according to this City Press and the Crime Intelligence Secret Service account is allocated the account is allocated more than 600 million, and I think you have heard that already, annually. This money is used to pay police informants nationwide in exchange for information about criminal syndicates and criminal activities. However, there is little to no security on how the money is used. Now, here's now another issue that I have with the minister saying no, and the NPA saying no, we are not going to. But it seems as if, I mean, this is a paper that was when was it released? It seems as if, you know, when people are in a sense speaking in silence. You know, yes, we're not going to do it in public. Yes, we're not going to do it. I think that's how everyone who's arrested now was being told. That's what they were told. In a sense, that sounds to me like, okay, just do your part. No one wants to arrest you. No one wants to take you to, just do your part. Do what you need to do. You know, that's how, when I interpret this paper, that's how I read. It's like saying, okay, do your part. Perhaps we're not going to do something else other than just letting you be. If you do your part, just do your part. You know, that's the problem. That's a problem. And I must applaud this man of Fanny Masemola. He just decided to do what he would normally do on a given day, even though it seems as if there's too much pressure coming from outside and many other places, maybe within also. It seems as if there's much more pressure that is being put on him. Just do your part or else you join them, something like that. That's how it feels like. But yeah, guys, that's it. That's it for me. I'm not going to say more. From now on, I'm just going to go to your chat. As I said, I'm alone today, so I do expect you guys to have your say. And all is alleged, and again, all the information we obviously get from these publications and whatnot. We are not investigative in a sense. We get hidden information. No, why? Asikolab. Select Tanini. What is in front of us? What are we supposed to deal with it? And we deal with it like that. It has been, if you ask me, a long, very, very, very long day without Emily, because I'm moving there, going there, and there and there. Laura, thank you very much for joining us. And yeah, the lines are open, guys. Let me just see if the phone is here. Yes, the lines are open. Now you can call, and I'm not gonna read WhatsApp today, but you can call on WhatsApp. Debua saying Dumelan, please press the like button, guys. Laura, okay, Debua, Tulitus, thank you very much, Tulitus, for moderating for us. Please press the like button. Vusutando, thank you for being with us, guys. The lines are open. If you wanna call, if you wanna say something, I am now available. I am indeed available. I see there were people who were already calling. Mavui, our member, thank you for being here. Pedro, thank you for being here. Let's see. Sutanda, I've mentioned you. let's hear what you guys have to say. Just in short, what do you have to say about this whole thing that we are now finding ourselves facing? Because I mean, this is really facing us. There are people really who we have organizations that are saying they are fighting for us as people. Some of them we don't even know them. We get to know them as time goes on. Okay, these are people who are saying they are fighting for us. Yes, but we do have people who are fighting for us, and I hope that indeed they are really fighting for us. So things decide to go left, guys. I copied this thing. I should be working here. Or you guys think, that information is already in front of us. We really do not care. Mamfunega, thank you for being here with us. And the question is, who is really on the wrong side? And I had, I think at some point, read a certain paper saying these people, including MKHWANAZI, it's a cartel. You know, I asked myself, who really is a cartel, Ganti, in this situation? Because everyone seems as if everyone is pointing fingers to, but who is the cartel? In this situation that we are currently facing. Let's hear what you guys have to say. But if you don't have anything to say, Pelamina, I will pass the message. Pelamina Vele, I will be gone. But yeah, I think Emily will probably be back either tomorrow or something. Maybe 2 days or so, because she is heavily sick. So she had to rest. Mr. Paul trying to divert our focus. He knows some of us believed everything and willing to jump for Louis Vuitton bag story. I'm behind MKHWANAZI. Umnandu ukuzwala umazi bafethu. This one is telling us about Louis Vuitton. Yeah. 2012, why didn't he say anything along Bella icon nami umbuzo ngibuza wona ukuthi why where are the bags? Can you show the proof? This is Obinyati. Boitumelo MC Master saying yes, hands off MKHWANAZI. Dokas Shabala saying hello. Visitant, we don't care about the Louis Vuitton bags. What if the generals bought for their wives? He has no receipt. Yes, so far he has not produced anything else other than the word of mouth. Brenda Ngema, Umkulu Uti, they joined the supplier on the overseas trip and Babuya Nama Louis Vuitton bags. When was the trips? Where is the proof? Lomkulu Uyasi Delela. This is Brenda Ngema. Fanuel Manjengwa. Good morning, Mr. Ano. I hope Miss Emily gets well soon for flu attack. Respect. Yes, this flu is really something else. It has elements of 2020. I'm not going to say anything. Dibuo, okay, let's see. We have okay, Mamfune, which year is, there are a lot of questions that are asked about these bags, and we've been told about these bags, and it's not clear as to what is what, but they keep on mentioning them. And I think from now on, I unless someone comes with certain proofs, I'm not gonna believe anything that is said by the word of mouth. There's no demigod of truth here. Everyone must come with proofs, because in the past we have believed people saying that there is crime just by the word of mouth. That is not enough anymore for us to believe and fall on the same trap that we fell into. I'm not gonna say when, but it seems as if now it's not going to be enough. MKHWANAZI has set a certain precedent that if you want to say something and say it with the proofs, come with the slips and say, here are the proofs, here is the money going there, here, do that, we will support you, because obviously this is our money as taxpayers. We will support you. Laura, we are paying for all this drama, and maybe we are not, because we have people who are saying, hey, we have enough money we can support, we have enough money we can do it on our own, we can investigate on our own. I read something saying that this Mr. Sullivan has spent something like allegedly 30 million in these types of crimes and making sure that people are prosecuted from his pocket, which is very generous if that indeed is the case. Very, very generous if that indeed is the case. And again, we don't know. There is no other way of proving it but the word of mouth. People are saying that is the case. I think I forgot the paper that I was reading. He's a man who really, when he gets his time, do actually say and sing a praise of what he has done. I think it's easy to get some of the information about him. Right, guys, ngiyabona ukuthi hayi ni tool. Press that like button, and so I think for me today it should be it. If you guys do not have anything to say, it should be it. And unokuthula sibongiseni, hands off Mr. MKHWANAZI. Emily, be well soon. Siyabonga kakhulu. Basho njalo abantu bathi ke hands off Mr. MKHWANAZI. So they don't care. You guys don't care of the alleged crime that is in the head, is on top of the head of MKHWANAZI, as people are putting it, such as this one. Oh, Sullivan, you really saying we are pushing for what we have seen. Laura saying get well soon. I'm sure wherever Emily is watching and is getting the messages. Guys, thank you very much for your support on such difficult time, on one of the best person in this channel, Emily. Siyabonga isupportini. Sithemba ukuthi uzobuya. You'll be back here. She'll be back here. She'll be doing what she does, and then I'll be able to go to my chair, sitting in her chair. And my chair is very hard for me. It's difficult, but even more difficult because today there were no calls. Now I'm gonna be shouted. What did you say there? Yeah, I'm joking. Please press the like button. This was something that I just wanted to let go. Mlambo Design, thank you, Siyabonga, for being here. And there were people who were really complaining that we make long videos. In any case, Machuen Laki Komape. Hey, Lakim Komabe, hey, please, I don't know. MKHWANAZI is intelligent. They can't do anything to that guy. I'm afraid this is South Africa. Hey, anything is possible. You never know what is what. South Africa is just South Africa. I'm afraid too. It's a country. It's a movie of its own. So we hope that nothing that is out of line happens, but we just hope also that he keeps his job, because people are talking about, hey, they were supposed to follow a certain, but what do you do in a situation where you feel that procedure that we are supposed to follow, it is rotten? How do you deal with it other than just finding other ways of dealing with it? You still have to. It's like saying, okay, the petrol pump has a problem. You don't find a way of either replacing it or bypassing it. You still want to use the same petrol pump that maybe is clothed. It does not allow the petrol to go where it's supposed to go. Is that what they are saying too? So that, because what happens with that? The car probably would not move. So if he submitted these things in a manner that they expected them to be submitted, probably we wouldn't have had anything. Because if the pipe is rotten, the pipe is rotten. What can you do? How can you then decide to find other ways of bypassing that? This is the only way. Go to media and deal with it there. What else can you do, guys? How can you deal with these issues? Hey, they are saying, "Yo, you're supposed to go. You're supposed to follow the procedure." People. Yes, they've actually turned, and then now they are trying to mitigate the situation. But it's already late because you started saying wrong things such as that. Shows that there was no thinking. You just want people to follow a certain procedure so that these things die down when we don't hear them as the public. In fact, such should be allowed, and it should not be looked at as a bad thing to happen. Why should we be? If this platform, it should be part of the things that happens. Report so that we, the people, should decide. I mean, as we speak, I think people have decided where they stand. As the people was saying, we're waiting for the Gauteng march. Hands off Mkhwanazi. That's all. That's what people are saying. And that's not me. That's what people are saying. The likes of Paul move like that. Why was the quiet about the bags? Usile ugabisile xolo. Umsongela Ndlovu, I've prepared my I've prepared my like button. Thank you, Msongela. Check this interview. He says he did, but he didn't. He'd been turned off. I'm missing that part. Extremely circumstances call for extreme measures. Extreme circumstances call for extreme measures. Yes, indeed. This was one of them. It's an extreme circumstance where you feel any other way would actually not yield the result. So find a way that will yield the correct result that you want to see. I don't think there was anything wrong with what happened. I don't think, and there shouldn't be even a mark on it. Let it be, let it slide, deal with the problem that we are facing, so that we know what is happening, so that we have confidence to our SAPS that is not captured, so that, those are the things that we want to hear. Good evening, makaphile uEmela awuzophila noMachule uzophila. Thank you very much. I'm sure wherever she is, she's watching, and she's probably warm where she is. Innocentia Hadebe, Ati, good night, family. Yes, good night, Innocentia. Thank you guys for just pressing that like button. Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you again. It's a bye, I think, from me. Until tomorrow. Thank you.